He's been saying it constantly that the film Jawaani Jaaneman is about accepting your age growing up. Mr. Saif Ali Khan, welcome to Speakeasy. I'm Rudrani. I remember even during Chef, you said it, you also admitted that there was a phase in your life where you were trying to be someone else because you were trying to figure things out and you felt like this is the time where I need to sort of accept my age and do things around that. And what do you think about it? Do you think
I
this
tell you what,
yeah.
a lot of father roles, that we think of it in terms, we've played heroes and leading men pretty much for 30 years. And there comes a time when you do get a bit older and you think that, fathers' roles should be, something establishment based or representative of a older, slightly more serious generation or, the controlling factors and basically a bit dull. Whereas it's not true because the father's role is actually quite a fascinating and really quite a deadly part. Especially most of these guys that I'm playing are not really prepared for it. I mean, in Chef, he's divorced and he's kind of an absentee dad who's trying to figure his son out. Fascinating mental area.
Yeah.
And, in Jawaani Jaaneman, he's an accidental father. He didn't even know he's a father. So it's one of the biggest things you can struggle with as a human being is kind of fatherhood. And you can destroy people. Most people have issues, with their fathers. And it's because it's a difficult role to actually fulfill and to play properly and it's really exciting and interesting and dramatic if it's properly told. So there was a time in our films that didn't really focus on fathers, but our generation kind of does because it's much more of a burning issue really as to, how that relationship affects and what it's all about. So there's no issues playing fathers. There's hopefully many more different and complex fathers to be played.
You spoke about the relationships that we have with our fathers. And tell me, when you were becoming a father, how did you first look at it?
Sara.
Yeah, with Sara.
I
and then with Ibrahim.
Was very happy when I saw her and I was really excited about so many things that were new. And I remember them very clearly. And I do feel somehow that I was also quite young, so I was also trying to make my own life at the same time.
Yeah.
And the only difference between Sara and Ibrahim and Taimur is that I'm a bit older and a little more happy to just be sitting at home than I was then, which is probably a little more stable, but
nothing much has changed.
Not necessarily more patient.
Oh.
Not necessarily.
But nothing much has changed. You're still the same way you feel about things as a father when you look at...
I feel all three kids have an equal part of my heart. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. That one cannot replace the other at any given point.
Yeah.
They're all very different identities in my heart and my head. And nothing... the simplest way of putting it is that none of them can replace the other.
Last year it was the 10 years of Love Aaj Kal, into the trailer got released.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was, and today the trailer got launched with Sara and Kartik.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen it. You must have seen it.
Yes.
And tell me, did it take you right back to your days?
Not really, because I somehow feel our film is not some ancient kind of movie. I mean, it is 10 years ago. It doesn't feel like, Hum Tum or Salam Namaste. I think it's still a film in the modern age.
It was relatable, so.
Yeah. And, I mean, obviously, and Sara has my best wishes at all times in everything she does. She's my daughter.
Yeah.
So bless them all, and I wish them all the best.
So pretty much you were pretty excited to see it.
Yes, sure.
But you said something about, working with Alaya was almost like working with Shah Rukh for you. And
well, I mean, it's not exactly what I said.
Yes.
I said a lot of the acting in our film is about energy and it's about shared timing. And there's few actors I've worked with who have a certain chemistry and a timing and a experience. And working with Shah Rukh and some of the improv stuff and some, not really improv, but just some of that chemistry and timing, this girl reminded me of. And that's an easily misquoted line, but a lot of people have quoted it quite straight, which is
But I think
nice.
Even that's a compliment.
It is a huge compliment.
To her.
It's comparing her to what was at that time the best in the business.
Yeah.
And I mean it, because she doesn't seem what I'm trying to really say. And sometimes we dress things up a bit. I'm learning to make things a bit sensational.
You are learning?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. Whatever makes an interesting comment sometimes. But what I really am saying is she doesn't seem like a newcomer, you know, and she doesn't seem like someone who's struggling with it. It's a very experienced performance. There's something very assured and absolutely bang on about it. Her thinking is very clear. So I'm comparing it to Shah Rukh Khan because she's new and, you know, he is on top of his game. That kind of comment.
You're walking into the promotions of this film right after the success of the last film that you had.
But I mean, I'm very honored that I could be part of this amazing team. I mean, Ajay Devgan and Om Raut, is such a privilege to have been given that role. So thank you to them and to Kumarji. And for them to make it the way they did. I'm happy I could have a small part in that success.
So much was happening around the film with you know, we had another release, pitted against each other. The political parties pushing it from other sides, and there were otherwise things happening on social media about it. So how did you look at that? The box office results came out. You know, there was discussion about how a certain party is pushing tickets of this and certain parties pushing tickets of that. How did you look at that situation? Because you obviously were aware of it.
Well, I think, you know, people will take whatever they can for whatever they can. But ultimately, I think it's the quality of film that speaks to, you know. And generally, I mean, I really believe that if people like the film, it tends to run. And if for some reason people don't like the film, then it tends not to run. It's really as simple as that. People have the right to protest what they like, and I think people are entitled to not make comments also.
Sure.
So to each their own. You know, there's something I feel particularly strongly about. I think I would say it. I know that, I mean, we're a very political country and we're opinionated and people are questioning and there are changes and all kinds of things going on. I must say, while all that is the case, the kind of medical attention that is available to me and my family is better than ever before. The education that my kids are privileged to have in this country are better than ever before. The job I have is better than ever before. So I'm actually really quite happy. So that privilege leads me not to say anything because other people are not so happy or privileged. So I don't want to compare or make a comment because I'm actually quite happy. So I tend to not, you know, voice certain opinions unless I'm in the same situation as those people. And also there's the other side, which is that sometimes film people can land the movie in a lot of trouble by making an opinion public. And there might be so many other people on the film.
I've seen that.
And there's so many other people on the film through no fault of their own. I mean, I say something, Tanaji gets affected, and Ajay, who's got nothing to do with my comment, suffers as my producer. So that's also not right.
So then I went and watched the whole video of Ole Ole once again. And I wanted to ask you, when you think of that guy back then, that set, doing that song, what is it that you don't have that he had then? And what is it that you feel?
I think he had a bit more hair. I kind of remember that guy vaguely. I don't really remember. You change as a person over time. And you change incrementally until you're just not the same person anymore. And then I don't really remember that person. I think it's the same kind of person, but I don't know if I probably always meant to read those books, but I don't think I had at that point. And I remember working very hard on that song. I remember Saroj Khan choreographing, and Ahmed and Jojo and all these people who became dance directors in their own right were assistants, and all those 4 brilliant assistants she had. And Ahmed helped me. He was dancing that song. And it was a huge, huge, huge hit. And I must have performed it about 300 times on stage abroad, sometimes 3 or 4 times in a row. People just loved that song.
You remember all the steps, even today?
Yeah, kind of, but I mean, the signature is really easy. experience. I had no idea about so many things. I mean, I was just completely new. You know, I didn't even know. I mean, I could do that song much better today. I was just, it's like my second movie. I had no idea what acting was. I had no idea how to look at a camera.
You would not
I had a
go
really
back
cool
to that whole...
leather jacket, which I don't know, I lost it. Or I gave it away about 2 years ago. I would have worn it in Jawaani Jaaneman, and then we could really talk. Never forgotten the song. I keep seeing it somewhere or the other. It keeps popping up.
And what's the first thing that comes to your mind? That's
Black, Armani jacket, clothes, hair, and that's set. There wasn't really much else to it. It was the music and you know.
Were you skeptical
these girls.
when you wanted to reprise it this time again? But like,
Well,
you know,
yeah,
sort of a classic.
Kind of, a little bit. We didn't really reprise it, I have to tell you, because I am skeptical. I mean, we didn't go all out. It's kind of a background music song, really. It's not some item in the movie. We don't, I mean, the director and me both feel that would be a bit gimmicky. So it's there because the character is that guy who hasn't really grown up and he loves women. So it seemed like an apt song, but somehow...
Never sort of made it into a thing.
No.
So you did. That's fair enough. That's, I think, because then...
Sensible?
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think it is.
Good.
You know, I know there was a time where you said, Kareena and you, I know you said there was a time that, you know, you really feel that you don't sort of fit in a film together and you all don't work and the audience doesn't want to see you two together. Has that changed today, Saif, by any chance? Do you still feel that strongly?
No, it's not. You know, I think I sometimes forget to like play the character when I'm acting with. I don't know, something like about real life becomes too comfortable. And you forget, it's easier to work for me with strangers because I can really get into what I'm playing.
Yeah.
But there's no fixed thing. I mean, if you get a good script and if it's interesting, who knows? But generally speaking,
I'm sure they try to sort of get you to do a film here or there.
Yeah, people have tried. Not very interesting people. But I think comfort is the enemy of chemistry and watching on screen. I think strangers who don't really know each other that well, as in personally.
So you stick by it. You wouldn't want to get into that space with her films anymore.
I mean, I don't think in those terms, you know. I don't think that, oh, we should do a film together. If something happens in the future and it's great, I mean, not against it. She's a fantastic actor. But I'm quite happy with the equation I share with her.
I was thinking back the time when you were in Tushan, even when you guys have started dating, I felt that there was this everything back then, even with you. You guys didn't care about what was happening around you so much, where others did. They really tried to keep their life secretive and private. You're not coming out and giving huge statements.
I don't know whether I have a slightly Western upbringing or my father was also very liberal. I mean, I have a different way of thinking. But I don't blame people who keep it quiet because sometimes, you know, the press can give you a rough time. People can just talk about your relationships. It overpowers your work. It makes a lot of sense sometimes to keep it quiet. So it depends how you handle it. I myself am not really capable of keeping it quiet. My dad said, if you respect your relationship, people will respect it. If you don't, then, you know, who knows? Someone might say something tomorrow thinking you're not in a relationship that would offend you. You know, there's various aspects. But I get it. I mean, sometimes like playing your age is a similar thing. I mean, you play your age, next thing you know, the industry's kind of bracketed you in a certain way. So you have to be very careful how you, and sometimes, you know, a bit of bullshit helps you.
You don't regret it, do you? Obviously
I
not.
don't regret anything.
Yeah.
I mean, not these things at least.
Of course.
No.
So now when you see the adulation around Sara and Kartik and all of that, their relationship and how it is, and she tackles it well. But did you sort of feel a little worried in the beginning about the kind of speculation around that?
No. I mean, you know, if there's something that worries her that she wants to talk to me about, she will and she does.
Because there's this entire, you know, as they call, shipping you together of Sara and Kartik.
Yes, but you know, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that, you know, can happen and it can hamper or help or whatever, and sometimes it might suit you.
Yeah.
And it might suit the film. Other times it might not suit you. And, you know, welcome to the game. She will handle it well.
Era of digital, social media, and the culture around you made you a little bit more social than you were in the past, like 10 years?
No, quite the opposite.
You've become more
I've become less social as a result of social media because, I mean, you're more aware of the kind of negativity there is in the world in general. and especially with people, there's one known you and there's so many unknowns around you.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a very pleasant environment. I have no interest in ever being on social media for this reason. You don't know who you're talking to. And there's a lot of people there who aren't particularly nice, you know. So I don't know why I would want to rub mental shoulders with them.
But then you also see the kind of love that you get. I
No,
mean,
but I'm not interested in that love. I'm interested in the love of my family and my friends. And it'd be nice if a film runs, but the film should run because of the merit of us working hard and trying to entertain you with all honesty. And for that, the money you pay for your ticket is the most important thing to us that we respect.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in it beyond that.
so like Kareena, you would not want to be like not on social media, but somehow checking on it. You wouldn't be that person either.
You
Like
know,
incognito
I
on
used to
social
have a
media.
kind of Instagram account, but it's sort of conked out or expired about 6 months ago.
You didn't use it at all.
So, yeah, but I haven't used it since. So I mean, it's just, you know, I can use her phone and check out what's happening. You see it anyway. You see the same 20 people going into the gym, coming out of the gym, or going to Bastion restaurant, or coming out of Bastion restaurant, or I mean, it's the same thing. It's not particularly interesting, honestly.
So Instagram does not fascinate you.
No, not at all.
Sometimes for movie promotions though, you know, you're a
I
producer.
do anything for a movie promotion within reason.
Within reason.
Yeah, but I was told you don't get on Instagram just to promote a movie.
Yeah.
It won't work or whatever. So you have to believe in it and you have to
Yeah.
really show it off. But I think it takes you away from real life. It keeps you. It's really distracting and absorbing
Yeah.
to some people. And in a place like Bombay, which doesn't have too much of an outdoor life, it might be a really dangerous thing because it'd be far more interesting than talk to people or to have dinner or to interact with human beings.
And of course, for someone like you who likes, like you're talking about jackets, which you know you've worn for years, like the one he's wearing
But
right now.
25 years old.
You don't really matter how you're styling yourself, isn't it?
Well, you know, the culture I've grown up in, whatever, I think it's more important who's in the jacket and what he's saying than the jacket. But sometimes people, you know, the jacket is more interesting than the person, and that's always a scary sign. That's, wow, it's great, you know, I mean, that's so, I'm from a culture of old suits
Yeah.
and old things
Tuxedos.
and, you know, nice ideas.
Yeah. I will have to say that I agree with you on that. And to end it, I'd like to say, you know, we spoke about fathers, and of course, this film shows that. I think it's really, the trailer reflects that you have this really easy bond with her towards the end of it. You've done it in Chef when you had to show that with there, and you know, you see that little here. And I know that you're doing another one with Ananya.
So all these dads are like quite diametrically, I mean, they're different. I mean, there's a time when, you know, you're playing something from like an establishment figure. It's a little, but in our generation, in our time, I mean, these roles can be quite interesting because some of these fathers are not ready to be fathers. Some are damaging fathers. Some are dysfunctional fathers. So they're all like relationship movies about a place in life, and I think it's a fascinating place. So it's not something I'm trying to do, and it'd be quite boring to. Maybe I won't do it again for a while.
Selected the film with Ananya also. It's a thriller, right?
So it's not a thriller. It's
Maybe
a
I'm
little early
wrong.
to talk about, but it's a relationship movie.
Okay.
You know?
While I was here, I know that you got a call from Ali Abbas, who's a friend of yours, and he had his birthday where everybody turned up. But you didn't. Tell me, does it get awkward for you? And we were talking about you not being social, and of course this proves it, but I know you're
Well,
not.
I mean, he's threatening to cut my role, and you heard it.
Yeah.
But that was a voice note. And I do love Ali dearly. I would have gone, but you know, I had to leave Taimur and I couldn't, and there's all these things after work, and you have to be up at 7 in the morning. And I think hopefully, if people understand, that I'm planning not to go anywhere, ever, honestly. I'm planning to be consistent, so nobody can be offended. Because
You end up somewhere and then you have to explain that.
I mean, if you're selective about where you go, then that's not right. But I think if you're blanket, not going anywhere ever, and you're clear about that, then I think everyone should be fine. My father told me, just be equal with everyone in life. And I do. I adore Ali. Is one of the funniest and most lovely people I've ever met, and he's my friend. But he's not drinking. It's not really, you know, a party in that sense. And I'm in the middle of a film, so I'm sure he understands that. You know, we've got to be up at 7, etc., etc. And like I said,
But
I would like not to go
I'm sure people
anywhere.
understand that when you say
You know,
Taimur.
like if you can't leave the, I
Taimur,
can't after a day of work leave the child and
Yeah.
go off.
And you all take turns. If she's working, she tries to be
Work
there.
is different,
Yeah.
but after work, it becomes very difficult to socialize with even my friends sometimes, you know. Once in a while, yes, but generally
Yeah.
at home with my family.
Fair enough. But thank you so much. I completely agree that it is the man in the jacket that matters more than the jacket that you wear. So I will end this interview on that quote of yours and quoting you. Thank you, Saif.
Thank you.
All the very best. Looks like a fine, fine film.
Hopefully.
And I think it's going to be fun.
Thank you.
Watch E-Town News Monday to Friday at 9:30 p.m. only on Zoom.